Hey there, coffee lovers. Want to support your favorite creator and help end the stigma surrounding so much of the motherhood and parenthood experience? Check out my Buy Me a Coffee page. For just a few bucks, you can treat me to a warm beverage, or you can join a monthly membership to help me keep creating the content you love. It's a win-win. Just head to buymeacoffee.com/quietconnectionpodcast and check out our options. Let's fuel our mama mission together. Welcome back to Quiet Connection, a podcast dedicated to ending the stigma around postpartum mental health. I'm Chelsea. Today I'm joined by Amy, a mom, educator, and advocate whose story is full of honesty, courage, and transformation. Amy opens up about her journey from burnout in film production to starting her own business, to navigating postpartum rage, something so many parents experience, but so few feel safe to name. Together, we talk about breaking the stigma around maternal mental health, the power of medication without shame, and why finding just one person you can truly lean on makes all the difference. Here's Amy. Hello! Today I'm here with Amy. Amy, how are you?
Hi, Chelsea. Thanks so much for having me on.
I'm so
delighted
happy
to be
to
here.
have you.
I'm delighted to be here. Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
I can now. Was there a little bit of a delay?
There was.
Okay.
Maybe just in my brain.
I think it's technology and it's Monday, so whatever,
Yeah.
it works. Listeners, if you can't tell, we've gone international again. I'm always so excited to meet my guests from all over the world. I would love it if you could introduce yourself to the listeners and let us know who you were before you were a mom.
Okay. So my background in video and film production, which I don't do that now. But that's what I studied in college, and I ran my own film production company for from 2009 until my son was born in 2015.
Wow.
And I was an Apple certified video editor. So I worked on various projects. Yeah, and then when my son was born, being self-employed is hard. And you kind of lose yourself for a while. So that went on the back burner. Yes, you just lose yourself when you have a baby. And sometimes it's really, really hard to find yourself again. When my son was a year, I started working as like an editor. Again, this is kind of my first time back to the workplace in like over a year. So it's been out of practice, but I found myself filling in for a senior editor in a production company. Yeah, and then I discovered 2 weeks in that I was pregnant with my daughter. Like, we were actively trying before I applied for this job, so it wasn't necessarily a surprise, but I was covering maternity leave for the senior editor, and they turned around to me and they're like, "Oh, so she's going to take a year as opposed to 6 months. So we'll need you to cover the contract for the year." And I was like, "Oh, I can't."
Oh no. Oh, no.
So yeah, and that was just long hours. It was like 12-hour days, finishing project deadlines, like putting in extra time, overtime, not getting paid for it. And I was like, my daughter was born. I was trying to figure out what to do. I was like, I put so much time and effort and energy into working for someone else. What would happen if I put that time and energy into myself? So a couple of years after my daughter was born, I decided to set up Yumi, which is the business that I have now, and it has evolved since 2019. I did start off selling plastic-free alternatives to everyday items, bamboo toothbrushes, household items, usable period products, that kind of thing. And one of the areas that I was really, really interested in was giving talks and workshops. And I give talks and workshops on various aspects of plastic-free living and mineral waste living. But one of the areas that I was really, really passionate about was periods and everything to do with periods and stigma surrounding periods and showing people how reusable period product works and how they're healthier for you. And yeah, and then I just kind of pared my business back, and now I do talks and workshops in schools full time. So I'm working with the local council here, and they sponsor cloth pad starter kits, and I hand those out to the students through my talks. So students in and around Waterford schools are getting free reusable cloth pads that will last for 5 years. So it's kind of helping to tackle the period poverty side of things as well, which unfortunately Ireland's it's quite a rich country, but period poverty is quite an issue here.
Yeah.
That's me now. It's been a
Yeah.
roller coaster.
I was gonna say there were quite a few evolutions there.
A lot of evolutions. Yeah.
Yeah. And and some kind of like a lot of them very, I mean, from the outside looking in, like very exciting, very like
Mm-hmm.
um big opportunities, which is very cool. I cannot imagine being pregnant and working 12-hour days and
It was hard. I
yeah,
used
I
to go out at lunchtime, before I told them that I was pregnant, because it was like early days before I told them I was pregnant. I used to say I was going out for lunch, a walk after lunch, and I'd go and sleep in my car for like 10 minutes,
yeah.
power nap, just so I could reach 5 p.m. Like, it's the only way I could get through the day. And then I was just crying so much towards the end. I was just so tired. And I remember I was there, we were doing like a video for like a governmental department, and we had a deadline. And I went in on like Stevens's Day, I think Stevens Day or Boxing Day, to make sure that the export was still going and that it hadn't crashed or anything, because the deadline was like the new year. Um, I just remember being in there until like midnight, just waiting for someone in the department to get back to us to tell us that it was okay, because we needed to make any changes before the deadline the next day at like midday or something. It was
Oh
being
my
launched.
gosh.
And it was just, I was like, you know what, this is,
It's too much. It's too
why am I
much.
putting in this much time and effort? It's someone else's business, you know? Like, um, yeah, and I was just kind of, I think I was just burnt out then. Um,
Well,
yeah.
that speaks volumes
Hmm.
to so I think there's this perception here in the US that everyone else has it so much better than us. Like all other, not all other countries, but like
Hmm.
that so many other countries value family life, and there's less burnout and there's less pressures put on parents. And while I don't know the specifics of what Ireland's like maternity and paternity leaves are,
Hmm.
I do know that like in terms of like the UK and like there are more generous um
Yeah. Yes.
paternity and
Yes.
maternity policies than there are in the US. But
Yeah.
that does not mean that moms are not still burning out and are not still feeling the pressure like you were
Hmm.
to work
Yeah.
at a job that wasn't serving you, that was actively burning you out. And so it's interesting to look at it that way, that even like knowing the policies are different, you there's still that like implicit, I don't even know the right word, like perception of like needing to
Yeah.
achieve. You need to achieve
Yeah.
and be
But
productive, and that means
just
working
not
your butt
doing enough,
off, right?
feeling like I wasn't doing enough. And I'm like, well, shit.
Yes.
This is really crap. Like, this is really crap. And I think, like, so I was in a small little accident then. I was dropping my son out to creche, and was, I had a hospital appointment after later that day, or physio appointment later that day. Um, and I was coming out of our estate, and I was just like crawling out of the estate, and this car drove into like the back of me. Now I was in like it's a 1995 Nissan Primera, so it was like a tank. Okay, so the only
Yeah.
damage to the car was like the back, the brake light cover was broken. bulb was still intact. So that'll just go to the damage or the impact. You know, it wasn't like, and my son was in the back. He was only a year and a half, and he was completely unfazed. But yeah, so I rang work and they were like, no, go out to the hospital. I was like, but I feel fine. And I rang my midwives and they were like, just come out anyway. And I was like, okay. And then they were like, you know what? You've only got 2 weeks until you go on maternity anyway. So we're just going to sign you off. So I was like, so delighted. So I had like 4 weeks instead of 2 weeks before giving birth. You usually take the 2 weeks. Some people, if they have holidays stored up or like time in lieu, they'll just kind of take that. But because I was only on a temporary contract for the year and I was only 6 months in, I hadn't enough days worked up to be able to take off early enough. So yeah, so I had my 4 weeks and I was able to kind of relax a bit, which was something because when my daughter was born, yeah, that's when all the postpartum crap started happening.
Yeah.
Is like I didn't have it was a completely different experience to when I had my son, you know.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have any postpartum issues or anything like that with him. You know, mentally I was all good. First child, he slept really well, which was great. Yeah, and then my daughter came along.
And everything turned upside down.
Yeah, my God. She only napped for like 20 minutes at a time. Even though she was
Oh.
slept really well at night. They both did, thankfully. Like I would have been a shell of a person otherwise, but not having that time during the day to be able to map out my day somewhat
Mm-hmm.
so that I could tend to like my son and then do other things as well. It was really, really frustrating. So having like 20 minutes knowing that I had to get all this stuff done. And by the time I had like been fed, changed, whatever, and it's 20 minutes were up. Do you know what I mean? I had no
Yeah.
time for myself at all. Yeah, and then the lack of sleep for me, the tiredness, it's just a killer. And I think like even though I had those 4 weeks before giving birth, I think I think the stress of the 6 months that I was in that job and the tiredness the whole way throughout my pregnancy, just I think it all just caught up on me. Yeah, and then like a couple of years after my daughter was born, my doctor, after being into my doctor's office multiple times in tears, she was like, "Okay, I think you have like postpartum rage." So she actually
Yeah.
put a name on it for me. She was like, "I don't think you're depressed. She's like, I definitely think you have a bit of anxiety." And she did. My doctor's amazing. Like she's really good. Um, she is one for researching into what is going on. She doesn't just push medication on you straight away. She's like, okay, let's figure out what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, I think you're very anxious. I think the tiredness is a huge contributor to that. She was like, we can look at putting you on Lexapro, escitalopram,
Mm-hmm.
a really low dose to see if that'll help. And I was like, no, 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 no. Because in my mind, I was like, oh, medication was such a taboo. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then, like, I found myself, like, my son was so good. He was like a dream. So, as long as he would sit there and play with his trains for like an hour, right?
Oh my
Or
God.
sit down and actually watch a movie, right? For like 2 hours, sit down on the couch and he'd like this for 2 hours. And as long as I was sitting with him and like feeding Juno, as long as I was nearby, he was absolutely fine. He was so good, but like that, I used to just lose the rag. And in my head, I'd be like, you need to stop. This isn't right. But like physically, I couldn't just stop myself. And I would be like screaming in his face. And I would pick him up and I would like just not full force, but I would just like throw him on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd be laughing, but like it was a nervous laugh, as if he's not sure if this is a game or whether mommy's really angry. He didn't know how to take it because he was 2, and I'd ring my husband. I'm like, you need to come home because I'm terrified I'm going to hurt the kids. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
scared I'm going to hurt our children. I'm like, you need to come back. And I would be outside, and they would both be in here screaming and crying because I just shouted at them. Yeah, and in your head, you're like, this isn't okay. You need to stop. But you actually just can't stop yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I had no control over what was happening. You see those stories of these women who hurt their kids and then, like then they hurt themselves. or they end up in like a facility after doing something to kids. And I always think those women were just let down, like
Mm-hmm.
they're, for the most part, they're probably not evil. I know, so obviously there's some evil people out there, but I think for the most part, these women were just let down. They didn't want to hurt their kids.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like they just couldn't actually control it, and they had no help. People didn't recognize the signs. And it's really, really scary thinking that that could have been me. Um, and like
Yeah.
my daughter is 8 now, my son's 10, and that's still to this day still resonates with me. So I actually decided to take the Lexapro, and I started that, funnily enough, 2 weeks before COVID. We went into
Yeah.
lockdown. That was really good timing.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I actually timed this really well.
We're all about to be
Um,
stuck with each other, so
oh my
yeah.
God. Yeah, so that was, well, what was that, 2020? So Juno was born in 2017. So for 3 years, I was like, no, I can't, no, I don't want to take medication because, that's just no, it's seen as like a sign of failure. And then I was like, you know what? I remember my mom having like bouts of anger and rage when we were growing up, especially when she hit menopause.
Mm.
Um, she had a really, really awful time when she hit menopause. And I remember that, and I'm like, okay, like I don't certainly don't hold it against her now as a 37-year-old woman. I completely understand. And our mums didn't have the option of anti-anxiety medication to help them cope. And I'm still taking it. I'm on like the lowest dose. I'm on like 5 milligrams, but my husband's asked me time and again, when am I thinking of coming off it? And I'm like, never.
Right, like do you
Um,
want to know what that looks like? Like
like he's and I've spoken to my doctor about it, and she's like, there's absolutely no need for you to come off it. She was
yeah.
like, if it is helping you cope, and like my PMS now, even like my PMS is quite bad. So it always has been. But definitely like the frustration and the rage, it's still there. I could still feel it, but I can better manage it now with the help of the escitalopram, and also I'm doing lots of other things like more exercise and stuff like that. I kind of found myself again after having kids to the person who I was before, and you start to kind of do things that you enjoy again, and you get to learn different things that you never got a chance to do before, and yeah, it's really therapeutic. But I don't think I'm ever going to come off the Lexapro. Like I'm a better mother, I'm a better wife, I can function better, and I think my kids deserve that. So,
And you deserve that.
and I deserve that. So
You
I'm never
do.
coming off it. You know,
I don't blame
maybe
you.
maybe when I pass menopause,
I don't know. That's its own
we'll
beast
see.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Now,
did.
like, I mean, I do. I'm sorry.
No,
So I
you're
was
good.
listening to your latest episode was on anger.
Yeah.
And you said that like it's okay to be mad. And I think like there's such a stigma around postpartum rage. Like there's a lot now being focused on postpartum depression, even PMDD, and even like extreme PMS symptoms. But postpartum rage is something that really, really comes up even to this day. So it was really nice having like a name on it. Um, I think we're conditioned from a young age to, calm down, take
Mm-hmm.
it easy, as you said in your podcast. You're like, you know, we need to just kind of like put a
Like put
pause on
that
that anger
away.
now,
Yeah.
put that away.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to parenthood, especially with the explosion of the gentle parenting movement a few years ago, I think a lot of people saw gentle parenting as like you're not allowed to get angry at your kids. Do
Mm.
you know what I mean? When it's really not about that at all.
Mm-mm.
And there was a lot of pushback on it because people were feeling like they're made to feel ashamed for being angry at the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And also you're taught that we need to help kids navigate their emotions. You need to put a cap on your emotions because they're the kids. They don't know any better. You're the adult, you do, but like we need to work them through their emotions, and we have to keep ours in check. But honestly, like most grown adults can't handle their emotions
We
most of
were
the
never
time.
taught to.
No, but also we're just human. Do you
We
know what I mean?
are.
Like, and it's okay to be mad. It's okay to get angry. It's okay to cry in front of your kids. I think they need to see all these emotions. And as long as you sit down with them and explain these emotions and apologize for your behavior, then it's okay, you know?
Yeah.
I
I
think as
don't
a
even
woman
know.
and
I don't even know if an apology is always necessary.
no.
I always say to my kids, like, we're gonna process this, and like an
Mhm.
apology doesn't fix it. And I can say if I blow up at them, right, or if like you have a
Mhm.
moment of rage where you blow up, I'm really sorry that I did that.
Yeah.
But like if you're just feeling your feelings, like you can just I just look at my kid and I'm like, I'm really, really overstimulated right now.
Mhm.
Or like,
Yes, yes.
I'm
Just
really
give them
mad right
warning,
now.
you know.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm this close to losing you know.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, and like I think as a woman, especially as a mom, there's so much guilt anyway, but also there's so many external factors and internal factors working against us.
Yes.
Whether it's the mental load or all the hormones that are going on. I think we're like women in general are just so hard on themselves. No, we kind of just need to stop doing that. You know, we're always so critical of ourselves. And then when you have kids, you're critical of like your parenting.
Yeah. It like goes into
Um,
hyperdrive. Like, some of the things you shared come from a place of vulnerability. And I always like to say your
mhm,
vulnerability is your strength. But like
mhm,
being able to say, like, yeah, there were days where I picked up my 2-year-old and plopped him down on the couch and was like, I'm out of here. Like, I got to step outside. That's
yeah.
that's not uncommon. That's not
It's
uncommon.
not, but
No.
no one talks about it. And I actually,
No.
even now, like when I was saying it, I'm like, I really hope no one reports me
Right?
for
So
child abuse.
no.
Like,
And no, that
you know,
I think that's where a lot of the shame comes from, and I think a lot of the
mhm,
stigma comes from this fear of, well, if I admit that I have faults, or if I admit that I'm not doing this like an Instagram reel, you know what I mean? Or like the Pinterest
mhm,
moms. If I say that out loud, then someone's going to report me, or I'm going to get in trouble, or whatever that sounds like or feels like for you. Like, I think that's where a lot of the
mhm.
fear comes from. And another thing that you mentioned too is that we're talking more about postpartum depression and anxiety now than we ever have been, even though still it
Yeah,
should be talked about more. Postpartum rage is we're just barely starting to scratch the surface, and it's
yeah.
not even its own technical diagnosis.
No,
It's it
it's not.
it's like a subcategory of postpartum depression or anxiety, but
Mhm.
it's no less real and it's no less valid, and I actually think it's more prevalent. I'm going to go as far to say since COVID. Um,
Mhm.
I think it's kind of always been a thing. And like you said, like factors that play into it are burnout and pressures from family, pressures from yourself, pressures from culture. But I think it's always been there. But I think the whole pandemic thrust us into this new level of not only just existing, but parents, like parenting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
You're not
wow.
just a parent, you're a teacher,
Oh,
you're a nurse, you're all these things anyway, but then you're homeschooling on top of it as well. You're like, oh my God,
there's no break.
you know, and there's the anxiety as to living through global pandemic as well as all the regular
Yes.
crap that falls onto you, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
there
but
was certainly scary times for sure.
I'm interested too. So there's several things that I'm interested in based on what you said. Like, so one, and you kind of talked about it a little bit, is the stigma surrounding one, just talking about your feelings, and
Mhm.
two, the medication. So And I am going to play the cultural differences thing, because we are in completely different places in the world. There is a stigma in the US around mental health. Mental
Hmm.
health medications are becoming less stigmatized, I think, again, since COVID,
Yeah.
as we're seeing mental health play a bigger role in things. But do you think it was a cultural thing that impacted your perception, or was it like an implicit, like
I,
learned?
de-
I
I,
don't know.
hmm, I definitely think it was a cultural thing because obviously, like we learned from our parents, and this kind of thing wasn't an option for them.
Yeah.
And also, like my mother-in-law, for example, would be very. She wouldn't even take paracetamol for a headache. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
She's like, and I think our parents' generation in general were more kind of martyrs,
Yeah.
just grin and bear it. Not only did they not have the options there, but also it just wasn't really promoted, I suppose. And even now that they have, a lot has improved since their days of parenting and being young adults, um, they still like just grin and bear it.
Mm-hmm.
Tis but a scratch. I'm like,
Yes, Monty Python.
no, your legs hanging off. You should probably get that seen through, Oh, it's
Yes,
fine. It's grand. It's grand. I think
it's
it's very
great.
Irish mammy thing as well here. It's like, it's fine. It's grand. Be grand. It's fine. Fine. Don't you worry about me. You worry about yourself now.
Oh,
It's like, no.
yeah.
Like you need to tell me things. Like they just don't want to worry you. So I think there was a cultural thing for me. I was just, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think I saw it as like probably failing, a
Mm.
sign of failure.
Mm-hmm.
When really and truly it's the best thing I could have done for my kids. And I owed it to myself and to
Yeah.
them and my husband to not feel that way. And I was having panic attacks. Um, I don't know where they stemmed from, but this has certainly helped. And a friend of mine suffered really bad postpartum depression. And she was very, very open about her experience and her medication and everything. And I think it was because of her that I decided to just, you know, I'm just going to take the medication. I
Yeah.
can always come off it if it doesn't work, but she kind of helped break the stigma for me, by talking about it a bit more on her platform, and having conversations with her about it. Yeah, I think it's just, yeah, because of her, really, her influence, it just made me, I finally made the decision,
Take
and I
that
went back to my
step.
doctor. And even though every time I went into my doctor's office over those 3 years after having my daughter in tears, she always offered it to me, and I was always like, no, no. Um, she never forced it on me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which is great. I had to come to this decision on my own.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
she was ball was in my court, but she was so supportive in every way she could have been. Do you know what I mean? So I think I was really lucky to have her as well. Um, yeah.
That plays into sort of my next question, was because it was so prolonged for you. And that's so I am a Blue Dot ambassador through Postpartum Support International, and I
Hmm.
also facilitate support groups through Postpartum Support International, and we talk a lot about, if left untreated, these perinatal mood and anxiety disorders can go on and on and on.
Hmm.
Sometimes they can resolve on themselves, by themselves, but sometimes they won't. And so, like you said, the importance of that friend sharing her story, the
Yeah.
impact that made, and then the support of your doctor just always being like, okay, if you want it, it's here. Did you
Hmm.
have any other sort of support network, especially when your kids were really little? Like, or did you just feel like, no, this is my job, I'm on my own, and I have to, like you said, grin and bear it?
Um, no, not really. Like, I think parenting today is hard. It's so much harder because you don't have that village of people around you, you know.
Mhm.
I had three other friends who had boys at the same time, but I had my daughter. So we had our little mum group, which I think they're so valuable. Like these like baby meetup groups and even like parenting groups and stuff, they can be such a huge outlet, especially if you meet someone that you just automatically connect with. Yeah, like some of my best friends are two of my best friends are friends that I've only known since my daughter was born, you know, because our kids are the same age. I went to a baby massage class and I met one of my closest friends there, and we were the only two out of the group that actually like clicked.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was just I think it's so hard to as an adult to get out and meet people and make friends as an adult. Do you know what I mean? Kids just
Mhm.
go up to each other and it's like, "Do you want to play?" It's like, okay, you know.
Yes.
Um, I was in Spain with my son. And he went up to a kid in the playground and just obviously he didn't speak Spanish. This kid didn't speak English. And he just roared like a dinosaur, and they just started chasing each other,
Oh my
roaring.
God. I
And
love
that's like
that. Can you picture
dinosaur
that?
roars,
Can you
the
picture that
universal
with two
language.
adults? Can you picture that like you go to a restaurant and you just go up to someone and roar? You're like, "Yes, I feel that."
Just like that meme, it's like no one asks you what your favorite dinosaur is anymore.
No.
You know, now that you're an adult, it's like Triceratops, by the way.
I don't even think yeah, you're doing better than I am. I don't even think I could name 5 dinosaurs. So, um
Well, you need to get on that,
I
Chelsea.
really do. I really do. My girls aren't
Um,
super into dinosaurs, but they're into cars, which I know a lot about. So
there you
I
go.
can make some good car noises. So maybe that's
Yeah,
what I need to do the next time I want to make a friend.
get
I've,
the Hot Wheel collection out.
yeah, I've got to
Do
like
you like
make
Hot
an
Wheels?
engine noise. Yeah, I got to make. Do you know what car this is? And then I start
What's
making.
your
Yeah,
favorite? What's your favorite brand of car?
yeah. Do you like classic
You know,
cars or new cars? Anyway,
is
uh,
it
but
so
I
hard
love
to make friends as an adult?
it. Is
But it's
hard.
so important. It's so important. And like I think mums are lucky because we do have that outlet, like those baby classes and those parenting classes. And my husband like was obviously in work while I was home with the kids, so not that he's any interest in making friends. He has the same group of five friends that he's known since he was in primary school.
Yeah,
So like, I'm like, good for you.
that's so nice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Well, that
Um,
I'm curious about that too, though. Like, what was that? How did your dynamic change in your marriage throughout that time?
you just didn't really change. Like I would ring my husband, and do you know what? It was actually this conversation came up between us again a few months ago, back in January. And I think my sister was home from New Zealand. This was the first time I'd seen her since 2018. And we went on a weekend away together, and we actually got to because we haven't really spent an awful lot of our adult lives together. She's 9 years older than me, so she
Mm.
left for New Zealand. She's been there for God, about 15 years now at this stage. No, yeah. So we had this weekend together and we kind of talked about so many things, everything and anything. And it brought up a lot of stuff for me that I kind of put on the wayside. And when I came home, I brought it up with my husband again. I'm like, we were talking about the Lexapro again, and I was considering coming off of it because I was kind of feeling okay. And then I was like, yeah, I don't know what to do. This is before I went to talk to my doctor, and she was like, "You don't have to." She was like, "It can be a really good, what's the word I'm looking for? It can be a really good coping mechanism for postpartum rage."
Mhm.
And she was like, "A lot of women who have postpartum rage just stay on it long term." She was
Yeah.
like, there's no damage or anything. There's nothing to worry about long term." So she was like, "You're absolutely fine. Of course, if you want to come off it, this is how you taper off of it. It's entirely up to you. There's another 6 months prescription there. It's up to you whether you want to like fill it or whatever." And I was like, okay, great. So I had all these options. And then I was like, do you know what? It started coming up again. And I was like, my husband, I was like, the way I felt before I came on the medication, I don't ever want to feel that way again.
Mm.
Like it still haunts me how I treated my son. Like I would dig my nails, I would grab him by the by the shoulders, and I'd dig my nails into him just so I wouldn't shake him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Stop myself
Yeah.
from shaking him, and then I'd have to just walk away. And like that still like brings up a lot of emotions for me. Um, like it's still really hard to talk about. I know I'm talking
Yeah.
about it here. But my husband was like, "But, like, I never came." I was like, I used to ring you to come home. And he's like, but I never came home. And I'm like, I know you never came home. He was like, I didn't realize that it was, he was like, obviously, I'm never going to understand the level of not having control. He was like, I didn't realize things were that bad, you know?
Yeah.
So even though we were so close, and he was getting these phone calls from me, and he would kind of just talk me down. He always managed to talk me down.
Mm-hmm.
He's amazing. He is like the yin to my yang, and he just always knows what to say, no matter what scenario we're in or how I'm feeling. Like he's just amazing. So we used to always kind of talk it through on the phone, and no, he never came home, but like I would be fine by the time I got off the phone with him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like we were okay,
Yeah.
but obviously he didn't realize because he never came home, he never saw just how bad I was.
Well,
You know,
or you
he could hear it in
felt.
my voice.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so he just never really, he's like, I'm sorry, I just never really, he's like, I feel like I kind of let you down because
Mm.
I never noticed just how bad things were for you, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so that was kind of a nice little full circle moment for us,
Yeah, I was
you
gonna say,
know,
how
10
did
years,
that
10 years of
feel?
parenting. Yeah, it was nice. It was nice to finally feel validated and for him to acknowledge that he kind of dropped the ball a little bit, because I think I kind of probably subconsciously may have had a bit of resentment there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, because like, you know, he's a graphic designer. It's like your work isn't that important.
Mm.
The world isn't going to collapse if you come home and help your wife who's struggling with two small kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and his boss is a friend of mine, and I know he's like really like, yeah, it's his business, but I know for a fact that if like Ross had said it to him, he would have been like, oh, absolutely go, like Jesus, and he wouldn't
Yeah.
even have, it wouldn't even have been an issue. But he never asked. That was the thing. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I think that was the issue. So he's become better at that over the years for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
I think
it's
so.
interesting. It's interesting it's kind of this duality of like he was there for you in a sense, like he was
Hmm.
able to talk you down, but
Hmm.
yeah, it added to that pressure of I know he's not going to ask his boss.
Yeah,
I know I just have to do this and I have to like
yeah.
get my shit together and go back inside or go back. Um
Yeah.
but I love that you guys had that conversation so recently. Like you
Hmm.
said,
Yeah.
your kids are 8 and 9, you said, or
Yeah, no, 8 and 10.
8
Yeah.
and 10.
Yeah.
8 and
So
10.
so Juno's 8 now. So eight
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay. And it wasn't really until I started talking to my sister about all this stuff because my friends know about it. But my sister had no idea either. She wasn't here. She was in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And she now has 3 kids herself. Um, but there's only so much you can talk about on FaceTime.
That's
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
There's like she's anywhere from 11 hours to 13 hours ahead, depending on the
Yes.
season. So
Yep.
it's the weekend away was really lovely to connect with her, and we just talked about absolutely everything, and it just brought all that stuff back up again. And there's obviously some stuff that I hadn't resolved there. So yeah, it was very like communication is just
It's
gold,
huge.
you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Have you
Yeah.
ever tried, like, regular talk therapy? Like, have you seen a therapist?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
find that helpful as well?
I did find it helpful at the time. Yeah.
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 100%. Especially like there's this thing during COVID where we were both working from home. I was just starting up a new business, packing orders from home with two small kids. And like another issue was like Ross is like, oh, I'm not here. And I'm like,
Ah,
no, no, no.
yeah.
No, 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 no.
That's not how
So
that works.
I had a few like counseling sessions, and they were really, really good. And they definitely help for sure. I think
Yeah.
everyone needs to go to see a counselor or
I'm
go
a
to
big
therapy.
believer in that.
Mhm.
I think even if
Mhm.
you like, mental health is like physical health. If you even if you go in once a year just for maintenance, like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
hey, I gotta unload for a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just curious about that because it sounds like each time you've described having these conversations that they've been deeply impactful for you. Like this
Mhm.
conversation with your sister and this conversation with your husband. I'm curious too, like, have you ever had conversations about this with your mom? Like you were saying that you remembered her kind of going through some
Yes.
ragey bits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you talked to her at all
Yeah.
about what you experienced?
Absolutely. Yeah. So she
Yeah.
knew she was at the time she wasn't here. She was actually in New Zealand helping my sister through chemo.
Okay.
She had breast cancer. Um, so she didn't actually get to meet Juno for the first 6 months. So I didn't have her to rely on either, which
Yeah.
is absolutely, fair enough. My sister needed her.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so like she didn't really know just how bad things were either. But yeah, we've had conversations about it since, and she's like, oh my God, I wonder if that's what I have
Yeah.
at the time. But again, like in her day, stuff just was like she's 75, stuff just wasn't
Wasn't talked about.
talked about, and I really I feel sorry for her and her generation, you
Yeah.
know, they were really let down.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I think there's this
as crap as things still are, and even though we've come a long way, we still have further to go. Like, I suppose the options that we have nowadays compared to what they had, whilst they're still not great, there's something.
that's
Um,
exactly what I was gonna
and I
say.
genuinely think she just did the best what little bit of information she had, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, we talk about it every now and
And I
then.
guess
Yeah.
I was curious because like you said and like you've said so beautifully, like they didn't have the language for it and they didn't have the knowledge
No.
about it. And even today, now that we're learning more,
Mm-hmm.
we still have a long way to go.
A
But I
long way
think
to go.
I almost think I won't say it's harder, but I think it's complicated for us because yes, we do have the language and we do have a little bit of the knowledge, but we also have the shame attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we didn't have the examples from our parents growing up of, okay, if I feel like this is what I can do. And
Mm-hmm.
like you said earlier, harkening back to like, I loved the way you said it, like, no, I'm fine, I'm grand, I'm like, you worry
Yeah.
about you, you worry about you. And so we've got that one side of us, that mentality that's just like, shut it
Mm-hmm.
down, you're fine, everything's fine, whatever you're
Yeah.
feeling right now, put it away. And then you also have the
We're
other
all
side.
guilty of doing that.
Yeah. But then we also have this other side going like, wait, no, I actually know that this isn't normal. It's common. It's not normal. And I can do something about it. But should I do something about it? Like, I feel that inner conflict definitely from listening to your
Mm-hmm.
journey. I know I keep asking about like, have you talked about? But I'm really curious at this stage in your life, as your kids are getting a little bit older, have you
Mm-hmm.
talked to them at all about your mental health journey and just like
Um,
how that evolved?
no, not yet. Now I would be like I suffer really badly with PMS, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm traveling to Athens in September for surgery for endometriosis.
Oh, wow.
So I do convey to them, like when I'm in a lot of pain, that mommy's tummy is really sore. This is why. I'll be quite open about it because I talk about periods in schools with kids from like 11 years of age upwards.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter's 8. She's really, really curious. So, obviously I'm giving her as much information as I can, like age appropriate
Yeah.
information. There's a lot of stuff she doesn't need to worry about yet. But I do convey to them, like, if I'm feeling tired, if I feel like I've been snapping at them all day, I'm like, I'm really sorry. I've been snapping at you all day. I'm really, really tired. Or I'm really sore. And even though it's not okay, sometimes I just can't help it.
Yeah.
So that just in that sense, yeah, I guess I
Yeah.
have in an age appropriate way.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't
When you
need
were
to know everything.
describing it, I was like, yeah, you kind of do. You're kind of explaining it to them.
Yeah,
Do you think it's
yeah.
a conversation that at some point, like, you'll have, like, intentionally? And I hate playing the gender card because everyone experiences mental health and mental health challenges, but, like,
hmm
do you think you'll have those conversations with them about what that could look like for them?
I think that's a great idea for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, I'll be honest, it's
In
something I haven't
theory.
even I've never thought about. But like one thing that I do talk about in like my talks and workshops, my period workshops, is PMS and the symptoms and everything that can go with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess because I'm so used to talking about it, I'm a bit of I could talk about this all day, every day.
When they ask you that
So
question, what could you
more
talk about for an hour nonstop?
inevitably, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Inevitably, my kids are probably just gonna have to, whether they want to hear it or not.
Yeah.
They probably will at some stage. I haven't actually thought about when, but yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's important to be open with them as well. You know, and especially like having the conversation with my husband about being more perceptive.
Yeah.
When it comes to the kids. And now, in fairness, like he's done so much work on himself over the years. He's just like Mr. Cool, calm, and collected, and he can just diffuse the situation. He's
Oh,
like it's skill. It's a skill.
I'm so
But he's
envious
put
of
a
people
lot of
like
work
that.
into himself,
Oh my
right?
goodness. Oh my goodness.
And he's so good at like diffusing it, whereas like me and the kids might kind of like feed off each other a bit,
Yeah.
and he could see me like starting to get angry and they're getting angry and we're both getting upset. He's like, okay, it's okay.
He's the
Everybody
mediator.
calm down.
Yeah.
But then when he starts like when he's tired, he starts shouting it. Like we're all guilty of it.
Oh yeah, everybody
Like
is.
he might snap at them, and when he's snapping at them, I'm like, okay, just you go take a moment. I'll put them to bed. It's fine, grand. Just
Yes.
take a breath. And he's like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Like we're all guilty of it. But even those that are really like really good at like managing their emotions and showing emotions, it's yeah.
Yeah.
Even the best of us struggle from time to time. So I think it's so important to have these conversations with our kids as well.
Yeah.
Like I explain to the girls in my workshops and the kids in my workshops that your feelings are valid and you know your body better than anyone, you know your mind better than anyone else, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's so important that you have at least one person in your life that can advocate for you. And the more you know about your body and the more you know about yourself, the more power you have. Do you know what I mean? When it
Yeah.
comes to talking to other people or talking to a doctor. Yeah, so hopefully I can kind of instill that in my kids as well,
I think you're doing it by
and I can be
example.
their person. Hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
Well,
see.
yeah. I mean, I do. I get that impression. Like, you advocated for yourself. It took you a while to get to where you are now, but that doesn't invalidate that at all. And they got
Mhm.
to witness that. Your kids got to witness that and see you make decisions for yourself and advocate for yourself. And like, yeah, I think again, like it's that inherent shame, even in the journey, right? Like I've heard you say
Yeah,
several times, like, well,
100%.
I could have done
Yeah.
it sooner, or like, or I could have done this differently. But it doesn't, you got to where you are now
Mm-hmm. And
because
hopefully my kids are young enough that they're not too scared.
I mean, I think we
I
all
like
are
probably
gonna
blocked it out.
we're all gonna impart something for our kids to bring up in therapy when they're older. I think that's just part of being a parent.
Yeah.
But you've said it. You've said it in so many ways. Like you and your husband are
Mhm.
setting this example of one, like if there is a problem, we're going to find a solution. Two, we're going to support each other through that. Like your husband is supporting you when you you're dysregulated, and you're supporting him
Mhm.
when he is dysregulated. And really it's teaching by example. Like your kids see that. They see that. I know that all of it, this is I think I said this in my last podcast episode too, if you were listening to it. It's like, this is advice for me too. Like this isn't
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I think it's really easy for me to sit here and say exactly what I was going to say to you, which was, we like to focus on our failings and think that that's all our
Mhm.
kids are going to remember. Like they're just going to remember when I
Yeah.
yelled at them. They're just going to remember when I told them
Mhm.
no. When in reality, and there's a beautiful book about this, which I have to look up because of course I forgot the name of it. Their perception of us is so different than our own.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Because we don't remember any of that.
I
You know
mean,
what I mean? I mean, unless you were brought up in an abusive
I
household,
was gonna
you know.
say, I think, but it depends
I
on the
don't remember that one
circumstances.
time my mum lost
No,
her head at us. Do you know what I mean?
no,
I'm sure it happened a lot. You know, 4 kids.
yeah.
You know,
Especially with,
80s, 90s.
oh my God. Yeah, I'm an 80s baby too.
You
And
know, I
yeah,
mean,
and
she used to use this, yeah, there's the culture of like wooden spoon and the
I was
slipper, you know,
literally just going to say
ring.
that. I was just going to say I have that memory of my mom being like, do I need to get the spoon? Like, no. But in the same breath, like, and like you talk about gentle parenting, which so many people don't understand. It's so much more about being upfront and honest about where you're coming
Yeah,
from,
yeah, exactly.
and then
You know,
processing
it's
that. And
like,
that's a gift to your kids, and it's a gift to yourself.
yeah, instead of like, I mean, I think, and for a long time, I thought gentle parenting, I was like, you know, obviously we don't slap our kids.
Right.
You know, we got a couple of slaps growing up. Didn't do us any harm. You know, it's like, you know, yeah, it didn't do me any harm, but like, don't slap my kid.
No,
I
I don't
mean,
really want to do that.
you know, I'll give them like a 3-second warning that I'm going to lose my shit if
Yeah.
they don't stop. And that seems to work, you know, but that's me communicating with them.
Yes, it is.
Yes, I'm cursing, but
But I'm using
they
it
know
appropriately.
using it appropriately. Yes,
My
to
question
convey
is,
emotion.
what do you do? Because this is what my 3-year-old's doing. What do you do when you get down to 1 and they don't care? You count down. It's like, you've got till the count of 3, and I count down 3, 2, 1, and then nothing
I don't
happens, and
count
I'm like,
down.
well, shit, you really don't care.
I don't count down.
No,
Ever. I'm like, I'm this close.
yeah.
I'm this close. Do you want mommy to lose it? I don't know. I don't count down because
It doesn't
doesn't
work.
work.
No, it worked with my first. It does not work with my second.
No, this is a second child. It just,
They're very
I don't
different.
know what it is about that second child. Oh my God. Fearless.
They're completely fearless.
Like fearless. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Zero given.
No, oh
Like, they
yeah.
just don't
No,
care.
0 F's
No.
given. None.
Yeah,
She is
they don't care.
mighty. Hear her roar. Like she yeah.
Borderline feral.
Yeah, they're just built different.
Yeah,
Those second
they
children
are,
are
aren't
built
they?
different. Yes.
You know, it's funny, like my husband has a great theory. He's like, essentially, like, I mean, my son and daughter, there's 2 years between them, they spend 90% of their time together.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? When I'm doing stuff, when I'm cleaning or whatever, or doing working from home, they're together all the time. So that second child is essentially being raised by a toddler or a child. And
Yeah.
my husband's theory is that's why they're great, bonkers, and then if you go on to
Yes.
have a third child, then that crazy second child becomes the crazy middle child.
And
I'm
then the
like, oh my
youngest is
God.
just, oh my gosh, no. I can't even picture it. Oh my gosh. I love episodes like this and I love guests like you because like I said, like I haven't looked at my notes once. You dove in head first and I'm so grateful and appreciative because that's what we need. We need people to feel, I don't even want to say confident because it may not be confident, but just being willing to be vulnerable. Like
Hmm.
and talk about the hard things.
Yeah.
And you did that. You
Well,
did
thank
that.
you.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
also, this is a different episode, different podcast for a different day, but like, I so admire the work that you're doing in terms of period education. I
Hmm.
wish that there were more programs like that here in the States. They kind of just don't exist.
I think that's universal, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like,
I just so
you know,
admire it because like you said, it is empowering.
hmm
It gives you bodily autonomy in terms like your body. Um and having sustainable period products, like not having to shove something that's full of chemicals up inside you and not know anything about it. I just yeah, so I that's it's off topic, but it's not because I
it's,
appreciate what you're doing. Um and I love it
well,
so
thank
much.
you.
Yeah, no, and all the evolutions that you've been through. Um, I've loved
Yeah, it's
getting
been a
to
lot.
learn about you. I've loved getting
Thank
to
you
know
very
you.
much.
So I always end my episodes by
Hmm.
asking a question, and I don't choose it beforehand. And I think for you, I'm struggling to choose which one, but I think what I'm going to ask is, you know what? I'm going to switch it up completely. I'm going to ask a
Okay.
brand new question that I've never
Oh
asked
my God.
before. Yeah, I'm going to test it out on you.
Okay.
Okay. So, you obviously have no idea who my next guest is going to be. You don't know what their story is going to be and you don't know what their
Uh-uh.
experience is going to be. But we all share this common thread of going through something. We've all been
Hmm.
through something.
Hmm.
What message, without knowing them, would you want to impart on my next guest? I
Gosh,
know it's tricky. It's tricky. This is one I've been thinking about
this
for a while.
but this kind of applies to your next guest, but also the listeners.
Yeah.
And it's something that I always bring up at the start of my talks. It's so important to have at least one person in your life you can be completely open with, whether it's your spouse, your best friend, teacher. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? Like an aunt. As long we all just need that one person.
Yeah.
Um, because you can 100% rely on when you're going through it. Um, whatever it is, whatever that is. Um, yeah,
I love that.
does that make sense?
It makes
Does that
perfect
answer the
sense.
question? Okay.
Yeah. And so, like, I've been thinking about this question for a long time, and you felt like the perfect person to ask. And I'm going to maybe this is going to start a chain reaction. When I see my next guest, I'm going to say, "Hey, my last guest had a message for you, and this is what it was." And I think that's beautiful. You have to have just at least one person.
We
You have
all
to have a
deserve to
person.
have just one,
Yes.
a person, you
Yeah.
know, we can
Absolutely.
break down.
Yes. No judgment.
They've seen the snot bubbles, zero
Oh,
judgment.
exactly. You can roar like a
I think
dinosaur in front of them.
that's it.
Um,
Also Triceratops is my favorite
yes,
dinosaur.
Triceratops. You can,
To answer your question, your next question.
yes, Triceratops.
Yeah.
Well, Amy, it has been an absolute delight chatting with you.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, I so appreciate your vulnerability, and I know your story is going to resonate with so many people. So thank you.
It's been really lovely, actually. Really therapeutic.
Fabulous. Free therapy. I am so grateful to Amy for sharing her story with such vulnerability. Postpartum rage is rarely talked about, yet is real, valid, and something so many parents carry in silence. If Amy's words resonated with you, know that you are not alone. Support and healing are possible. You can learn more about resources through Postpartum Support International at postpartum.net. Make sure you're following us on all your favorite social media platforms at Quiet Connection Podcast or Quiet Connection Pod, so you can stay up to date with everything that's going on at Quiet Connection. Feel free to reach out. My DMs are always open. And as always, if today's conversation touched you, I'd love it if you'd share Quiet Connection with someone who might need to hear it. Until next time, remember, you are not alone. I see you.